Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 915. Please turn to it. Page 915, and today is our lesson number 131. There are 16 questions in this section. They are all of the same type. They are all multiple choice questions. In other words, the scale of difficulty goes from 1 through 16, which means the first 5 or 6 questions are easy, the middle 5 or 6 are medium, and the last 5 or 6 are going to be hard. The first problem that we're going to do, obviously, is a number 1 on the scale of 1 through 16. It's a very straightforward one. We are told the 6700 equals 100 times 6k plus 7. The question simply is, what's the value of k? Very simple, very straightforward. All we have to do now, all we have to do here is to divide both sides by this 100. Divide this side by 100 and divide this side by 100, and by doing that we can get rid of this 100 from the top. This 100 will go out to the 6700, leaving us with only 67. So 6k plus 7 equals 67. Subtract 7 from both sides and we end up with 6k being equal to 60, and therefore k equals 10. K equals to 10, and the answer is C. Number 2. If 3 more than n, so we have some quantity n, and we are told that 3 more than that is a negative number. So n plus 3, whatever it is a negative number. It is less than 0. That's what it means, for it to be a negative number. We are also told that 5 more than n is a positive number. The question simply is, which of the following could be the value of n among the choices that are given to us? Let's start from the bottom here. E says n is equal to 4. Obviously 4 plus 3 is not less than 0, so it's not E obviously. D says it is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3, which is not less than 0. That's no good. That's no good. Now C is a tricky one. You have to pay attention here. In C we have negative 3. Now negative 3 plus a 3, you see, n plus 3. N plus 3 is going to give us a 0. And 0 equals 0. We are told that this quantity, whatever it is, has to be less than 0. Well, 0 is not less than 0, obviously. That's why C is not right. The answer is B. B says negative 4. Negative 4 plus a 3, which is going to be negative 1, and negative 1 is indeed less than 0, and if it's negative 4 plus 5, which gives us positive 1, which is more than 0. What is wrong with what is wrong with A? What is wrong with A is that it's going to make this quantity equal to 0. A says n is negative 5. Well, if n is negative 5 plus a 5 is going to be 0, but we are told that it is more than 0. It equals to 0. It is not more than 0. That's why this is no good. The answer is B. The only value that works here is negative 4. Next page, page number 916. Page 916, number 3. We have a picture here, and we are told that it's not drawn to scale. In the figure above, if x is equal to 70, alright, where is x? Alright. So we're given 3 lines here, and we are told that is x equals 70. This is x degrees, a big angle. And y is equal to 40. Y is this entire angle right here, this angle right here. is y, which we are told is 40. And the dotted line bisects the angles with measure x and y. Question simply is, what's the value of z? That's very straightforward. Look, we're going to bisect it, which means we're going to cut it in half. If we're going to cut this in half, this is 70. From here to here it is 70. So if you cut it in half, this part from here to here is going to be 35. Similarly, if we take this guy and cut it in half, from here to here is going to be 20. And that's your z. The angle z that they're asking for is this guy right here, from here to here. That's your z, which is 35 plus 20. And that will be answer choice E. 35 plus 20. That wasn't so bad. Of course they're not going to be so bad, as we just discussed in the very beginning. The first 5 or 6 questions are very easy. The only reason why you will get any of these wrong is because you're not paying attention. And you cannot afford that. We cannot afford that. Nobody can afford that. You mustn't make any mistake in the easy questions. Why? Because we know, all of us, we know that we are going to make some mistakes in the medium and the hard ones. We cannot afford to make more mistakes on the easy one if you want a decent score. The first 1/3 of the questions in every section you must get right, all of them. A piece of fruit is to be chosen at random from a basket of fruit. Alright, so we have a basket of fruit and we are picking one piece of fruit at random. We are told that the odds that the piece of fruit chosen will be apple is 2/5. The odds are 2/5 that it's going to be apple. So, the probability that the piece of fruit will be chosen, the probability that the piece of fruit will be an apple is 2/5. Which of the following could not? I don't know why I'm having so much difficulty. I'm not paying attention here. The odds that the piece of fruit chosen will be an apple is 2/5. Alright, so the odds of choosing, and I cannot spell choosing for crying out loud. The odds of choosing, I think we'll have 2 O's in it. Odds of choosing an apple is 2/5. What is the asking? Which of the following, oh there you go, there's your punchline. Which of the following could not be the number of pieces of fruit in the basket? This is a classic probability question that they ask in almost every SAT exam. They give you something like this and the question is now, which of the following could not be the number of fruits in the basket? And here are the choices: 20, 35, 52, 70 and 80. What we have to understand here is that if the odds of choosing an apple is 2/5, then what this tells us is that out of every 5 fruits, what this tells us is that 2 are apples and 3 are not. Out of every 5 fruit. So think of this as a 1 unit. Every 1 unit is made up of 5 fruits, out of which 2 are going to be apple and 3 are going to be not apple. What does it tell us? What do you surmise from that? What do you gather from that? What do you infer from that? What we infer from that is that the total number of fruit, whatever it is, must be a number that is evenly divisible by 5. It is possible that we can have 20 of those. 20 as a total. It is possible that the 20 would be the total, in which case is 2 apples and 3 not apples. 20 is 4 times 5. So here we will have 2 times 4 and here we'll have 3 times 4. It is possible that we can have 8 apples and 12 not apples. It is also possible for us to have 35 apples in the basket, because 35 goes evenly into 5. 35 goes into 5 7 times. So here we'll have 2 times 7 and 3 times 7. We can have 14 apples and 21 not apples. 21 and 14 will add up to 35. This is this scenario here. This is the scenario of 35. This was a scenario of 20. This is A and B. Let's look at D and E. D says 70. D says 70. 70, if you divide by 5, turns out to be 14. So again, it is possible that we can have 2 times 14 apples, 28 apples, and 3 times 14 not apples. And if you add them up, you will see that it adds up to 70. And finally, 80 is also possible because 80 is divisible by 5. 80 is also possible. 80 can be divided into, if you divide 80 by 5, you will get 16. And therefore it will be 2 times 16 and 3 times 16. 32 apples and 48 not apples. And if you were to add them up, 32 and 48, you will see that it adds up to 80. The only number among the 5 that is not divisible by 5, among the 5 choices that is not divisible by 5 is 52. And that's our culprit. That's the bad guy. We caught him. Do you understand? Do we know this word culprit? I don't know why I have this uncontrollable urge now to digress here. I wanted to finish this page up very quickly, but since I used the word, we have to learn it properly. Even though you know the meaning, it doesn't hurt to actually learn the words properly. Sink your teeth into it and understand it properly. I'm looking at my vocabulary list here to see if we actually ever learned this word. I am sure we did. I'm just looking, there are too many words with C. So give me a second here, and I'll give you a day number where we learned it, and you will get something more out of it. I am fairly sure that we learned it, but I do not say it. Look, I cannot find it in my list here. I'm not going to take forever and ever. Caustic, counter, command, collaborate, censure, classical, conventional, killer, course, concord, conceit. I'm surprised that we have not learned it. Let's learn this word, shall we? Culprit. Culprit, I'm digressing here big time. We're going to digress big time. We're done with this problem. That's it. The answer is B. The answer is B. And B was the bad guy, culprit. Let's learn it, shall we? Like I said, even though you may know the word, let's learn it properly. Culprit is made up of the prefix cul, which means blame. So culprit literally means someone who is worthy of blame, somebody who is to be blamed, hence the bad guy. Another word that is comparable to this word, oh, here's a good word, comparable. I'm going to digress a little bit more. Comparable is the word that we learned on day number 2. The only reason we learned this word on day number 2 in our vocabulary lesson is because of the fact that most kids I have heard go around mispronouncing this word. It is not comparable. There is no such word in the English language. There is no such word as comparable. It is to be pronounced comparable. The comparable word to culprit would be culpable. Again, you see, very similar word. Again, it's made up of culp, blame, worthy. Blameworthy. If somebody is blameworthy, they are the bad guy. Here's another word. The prefix X means to get something out of. Exculpate means to get something out of blame, to free somebody of blame, to tell the person you are excused, you are no longer being blamed for it. We are excusing you. Exculpate. Okay? Anyway, culprit. The noun would be culpability. You have to say slowly. Even I have to say it even more slowly because of the fact that I don't want to shock you, but I'm not a native speaker. And sometimes I muck up the pronunciations. You understand? Now, I don't want you to get excited. The word that I just used was muck up with an M, not an F. Do you understand? With an M as in Mary. Muck up. Look it up and learn it. Anyway, the answer to number 4 was C. That was an interesting digression. Back to our work. A square and an equilateral have equal perimeter. So we have a square and an equilateral triangle, and we are told that they have this equal perimeter. So if the side of this guy is S, the perimeter of this guy is going to be made of 4 S's. And if this is 4 S's, this guy, we are told, So this guy is equilateral. So if this side is say D, the perimeter is going to be 3D. Let's see what they're telling us. If the square has a side of length 3, what's the length of one side of the triangle? Well, that's pretty straightforward. We just said it. 4s equals 3d. So if the square has a side of length 3, so here 4 times 3 would have to equal 3 times 4. Oh, for crying out loud. 4 sides, and each side we are told is 3. So 4 times 3 would have to equal 3 times 4, which means each of the side is 4. I put d there for the distance, you understand? Because I didn't want to use s again for the side, because we're using that symbol for square. That's it. The answer is C. The answer is C. Very last one. We are told that x is equal to -1. And we are also told that k is positive. Question simply is, which of the following has the greatest value among the 5 choices that we have? Let's take a look. A says 2 times k times x. Well, let's see what we can do. 2 times k times x. 2, of course, is positive. K is positive. We are told that k is positive. And x we know is negative. So positive times negative, it is going to be some quantity less than 0. And that's all we know. That's all we can tell. Because we know nothing about k. All we know is that it is more than 0. Since we do not know the value of k, we cannot exactly tell how much this quantity is 2 times k times x. All we can say is that whatever the hell it is negative. Let's look at B. B says 4 times k times x squared. Interesting. 4 times k. 4 of course is a positive number. K we are told is more than 0, so that's positive. And x squared is going to be -1 squared. A -1 squared is also positive. So here we have positive times positive times positive, so this quantity is more than 0. Again, we do not know how much it is, but whatever it is something more than 0, which means A is out of the game. A is no longer a contender. A is no longer in the game. Let's look at C. C says 6 times k times x cubed. 6 is positive, k is positive, and -1 cubed. -1 times -1 is +1, and +1 times -1 is again back to negative. A negative number raised to an odd power. Negative number raised to an odd power remains negative. So -2 times -2 times -2 is going to be some negative number. -2 raised to 5 is a negative number. -2 raised to 22 is a positive number. Whatever it is a positive number. This is a negative quantity. So again, we have positive times negative, positive times positive, which is positive, times negative, it's going to be negative. This is less than 0. This was more than 0. So again, C is out of the game. Let's look at E. E says 10 times k times x to the 5th. Again, you see, this negative power, x is negative, a negative power being raised to an odd power, a negative number being raised to an odd power, negative number being raised to an odd power is going to be a negative quantity. This is negative. K we are told is, k is positive, and 10 is positive. Positive times positive is positive, times negative, this is going to be a negative quantity. So E is out of the game, because this guy is positive, B is positive. So now the contest is between B, which is a positive quantity, and D. D says 8 times k times x to the 4th. 8 times k times x to the 4 versus 4 times k times x to the square. Now x to the 4, -1 raised to 4 and -1 raised to 2, they are the same quantities obviously. So that they play no role here. This guy and this guy, they play no role. But the point here is that this is 4 times k and this is 8 times k. Of course 8 times k is going to be more than 4 times k. The answer is D, because 8 times k is going to be more than 4 times k, because k we are told is more than 0. If k is a positive quantity, which it is, we are told that k is more than 0, therefore 8 times some positive quantity is going to be more than 4 times some positive quantity. Any quantity, doesn't matter. Even if k turns out to be a fraction. 8 times half, 8 halves are going to be more than 4 halves. 4 halves only make 2, 8 halves make 4. If it turns out to be a third, if you add up 8 thirds, that's going to be more than just 4 thirds, obviously. Therefore, the answer is D. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll do the problems on the next page. Alright? Bye now.